Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from the Street Scores. I just want to do a quick video on why y'all should not give up on Dwayne Haskins. I'm bringing stats, facts, and all of that. I'm just trying to put everything into perspective on why, even though this was his worst game I've seen from him ever, including high school, college, NFL, whatever, there's a reason why I see so much potential in him and why you shouldn't give up on him early. And for those of y'all who want him benched, at this point, you're just hurting yourself because Ron Rivera has already said he's sticking with him even through the mistakes because this is his quarterback. He's going to ride Dwayne Haskins' wave till the wheels fall off. But let's get into this. Let's get it. Alright, so first of all, I just want to make sure everybody realizes that Dwayne Haskins is in one of the worst QB situations of all time. I mean, if y'all can get in the comment section and let me know which QBs have had worse situations around them, I'm willing to take a look and debate with y'all, because this is easily one of the worst, if not the worst. Just off of the fact that he went from Jay Gruden as his play caller, scheme designer, all of that, to Bill Callahan. So from short passes, quick, throwing all over the field, but they're short, but loves the pass, very pass happy offense under Jay Gruden, to Bill Callahan, where run the ball first, second down, and then third and long, try to figure it out, to back to like a similar offense to Jay Gruden, kinda, where it was a little pass happy, but Kevin O'Connell started doing more shotgun. He started doing more things that Dwayne Haskins liked to do in college, more hurry-up offense, more up-tempo. So it was still different from Jay Gruden. All of these first three offenses were all completely different from each other when those guys were the ones calling the plays and designing the offense. And now Dwayne Haskins is under Scott Turner, who's running the Air Courier offense, which is completely different from these other three. As different as these other three were, at least at the end of the day, they were all still West Coast offenses by general definition and scheme and philosophy wise. But now Dwayne Haskins is in the Scott Turner Air Courier offense, which is completely different from anything he's done in college or at the NFL level so far. So in his 10th start, he's basically dealt with 4 different play calling, offensive coordinator minds, scheme drawers, and all of that. So that alone is just like, what is he supposed to do? If anything, last year probably took him a step back more than it took him a step forward. I might have preferred for him to go straight from Ohio State to this year's team rather than ever taking part of anything dealing with last year, with all of the commotion, with Jay Gruden, the head coach, clearly not wanting him, benching him whenever he could, not giving him the proper reps in practice. I mean, he was working with the backup of the backups. So really, this offseason was the first time Haskins really got a chance to practice with the starters. But then at the end of the day, coronavirus happened and all he had was a training camp. No mini camps, no OTAs, no nothing. And it looks like it. And then you have to look at the pieces around him, which is why this is like the cherry on top on why this is one of the worst situations of all time. You tell me what other NFL team in this league is jealous of an offensive line that has Jerron Christian, Wes Schweitzer, and Wes Martin starting. And I feel like Chase Roullier is fairly underrated, but he had some moments. Morgan Moses has actually been our most consistent offensive lineman by far this season. And he hasn't even been perfect. So let me know. Ask any of your friends that's fans of any other NFL team in this league, which one of them is jealous of our offensive line. Also, our receiving core, easily the youngest in the NFL, period. Terry McLaurin is a star, but Steven Sims, I love him, has a lot of potential, inconsistent. And we just started getting Isaiah Wright and Antonio Gandy Golden actual minutes in NFL games, so they're just pure raw. No preseason. The only thing they had to go off of was training camp. But Isaiah Wright is an undrafted free agent. AGG was a 5th round pick. So they didn't even necessarily treat them like starters in practice. And today against the Browns was the first time they were ever even treated like starters, be it in practice or in a game. And then the running backs are still fairly inexperienced. I mean, J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson have to lead the league in the least experience out of a running back group. But then we have Peyton Barber at the back end to kind of pull it together. But still, nobody's jealous of that running back group just yet. So there's not just this prevalent danger that defenses have to worry about of us gashing them through the run game. And I don't even blame the running backs for that, because even though they have the lack of experience, they're still pretty good. They're very athletic, but the offensive line struggles making holes for them most of the game. So the defense is able to basically just keep minimal players in the box to stop the run and delegate all of the rest of their resources to stopping Dwayne Haskins with coverages and all kinds of stuff like that. So the situation around Dwayne Haskins is one of the worst ever, if not the worst. Don't bring up Jay Jason Campbell, it wasn't this bad. Don't bring up Patrick Ramsey, it wasn't this bad. And definitely don't bring up Kirk Cousins, because it was nowhere near this bad. Only reason we were losing with Kirk Cousins was because the defense was tripping. I don't know why the defense was so bad. I mean, we know why, but I'm just saying it was that bad. It was just like, come on now. Even when Kirk Cousins finally has a good game, y'all fold the game away. So the defense was bad. The offensive line, first of all, was way better than what it is now. Kirk Cousins even had that one season with Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon. But the defense was bad. Jay Gruden was not that great. And Kirk Cousins, at best, is an above-average quarterback. But even then, he has his days where he's off, and he's not even an above-average quarterback. But at best, he's a slightly above-average quarterback. And then when you look back in history, you also have guys like Peyton Manning, who had a terrible rookie season. I mean, he was great in college, but then just like Dwayne Haskins coming out of college, okay, like this 50 touchdowns, barely any interceptions. This guy can be great at the NFL level, but we'll have to see. Same thing with Peyton Manning. People thought he was a prodigy coming out of college. He hit the NFL, fell flat on his face. And not just even in the beginning, because honestly, this is technically Dwayne Haskins' rookie season, because again, for all of the factors I gave y'all early on why the first season didn't count, and if anything, it only set him back even more. But technically, through Dwayne Haskins' first 3 games, or even if you just want to be extremely petty and as pessimistic as possible, through Dwayne Haskins' first 10 games, he still was not as bad as Peyton Manning was his rookie season. Peyton Manning started terribly, bro. His rookie season, I mean, the first game was 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. The second one was 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. The third one was 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And then 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Then 1-1, 2-2. Then he finally showed a little something in the middle of the season. 3-0. Then he went right back 2-2, 1-2, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Then 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Okay, then back to 2-2. Then he had his best game of his rookie season, the third to last game, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then right after that, back to back, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions to end his rookie season. And he was 17 of 34 that last game. He had a 50% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He averaged a 56.7 completion percentage. He ended the season with 26 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. So we have to slow down, man. If the greats like Peyton Manning can not only start out just as bad as Haskins has started out, if not worse, then you got to give Haskins time, because Peyton Manning's rookie season ended up being terrible. He was bad the whole way through except for a couple of games. You saw progress, you saw signs of hope that like through the games that there was signs of potential, there was hope, there were traits and everything that he had that like you can build on this. But at the end of the day, through his first 16 games, he threw 26 touchdowns and 28 interceptions. And this was with him having a full offseason as the projected starting quarterback, the team building the offense around him. That's why I'm saying you got to scratch out those first 7 games from Haskins, because they didn't even build the offense around him. He didn't even practice with the starters until way late in that season. He was practicing with the practice squad guys until he was thrown into the starting job. So if Peyton Manning can throw 2 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in his first 3 games of his NFL career, then Haskins can throw 3 interceptions in his technical first 3 games of his career. Because again, I'm going to keep saying it throughout this video, if anything, last year set him back. I would prefer if he were drafted directly to our team from Ohio State entering this year. Last year, if anything, only made everything worse for him. It made his mechanics more inconsistent. It made him fear the pocket even more because the offensive line was bad back then. He had to learn multiple offenses, 3 different types of West Coast offenses, and then an Air Coryell all over this same small time span. I'd prefer if he just went from Ohio State to the burgundy and gold this draft, this past draft, and he would just have a fresh start entering the NFL for his debut. But that man Peyton Manning rookie season was terrible. I mean, people super thought he was a bust, but it was always like, be patient. It's Peyton Manning. Give him a chance. You never know what he might turn out to be. And then he ended up being one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But you wouldn't know it from his first 3 games, or again, if you're being petty, his first 10 games, or just his rookie season in general. So far through Dwayne Haskins' first 3 games, He has 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, which if you take that over the course of 16 games, if just projection wise, and that's just assuming he doesn't get any better. If he's just as bad as he is today forever, he doesn't improve his footwork, he doesn't improve his accuracy, his decision making, none of that. If he just literally doesn't get any better, if the offensive line doesn't get any better, if the running backs don't get any better, if the receivers don't get any better, then he's projected to have 21 touchdowns and 16 interceptions by the end of this year. And again, that man Peyton Manning had 26 touchdowns and 28 interceptions his rookie season. And to compare him to somebody else, I mean, like, even the other guys, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, even Gardner Minshew, all of these other young guys.
Not bad for a running back.
They look so good now because they took the cuffs, the training wheels off their quarterbacks early and let them make their mistakes early. Y'all remember last year at some point people were thinking Kyler Murray may be a bust.
Not only does Kyler Murray not look ready to play NFL football,
but that's only because the team, the coaches, the offensive coordinator, all of those guys took the training wheels off their quarterback, stop babying them, and let them just go out there and make their mistakes early. Whereas Dwayne Haskins, literally today is the first day of Dwayne Haskins' NFL career that I've seen that they just let him do him. They just let him be a quarterback. They're not babying him. No training wheels. You go out there. You make the reads. You make the decisions. And he looked terrible. This is a terrible game. I'm not hiding the fact that this game was not just one of the worst games I've seen from a quarterback, even though he did have some great moments. He had some bright spots. But overall, this game was terrible. But Daniel Jones was having those games early on in his career when they first threw him out there to the Wolves. Just like today was the first day we officially threw Dwayne Haskins out there to the Wolves. Daniel Jones looked the same, if not a little bit worse fumbling wise, and now he's even better, even though I still don't think he's that great. Kyler Murray looked bad in the beginning of his run. Gardner Minshew, when he came in as the starting quarterback, he started off a little hot, then started struggling once defenses started game planning for him, which defenses have had time to do for Dwayne Haskins because they already knew he was going to be the starting quarterback as of week 1. So Gardner Minshew struggled, and then he started getting better. They kept the training wheels off of him, let him make his mistakes, let him throw his interceptions. He learned, and now he's better. I still don't think Gardner Minshew is a great quarterback, but he's a good one. And Josh Allen, don't get me started. You see how great he is now. He came out of college one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks I've ever seen go in the first 5 rounds of an NFL draft, bro. I mean, Josh Allen came out of college terrible. It was all potential. Arm strength, his ability to be mobile. He can run people over. He's fairly fast and all of that. It was his mobility and his arm strength, and they were just banking on that. He has the build of a true NFL quarterback with height, weight, strength, arm, all of that type of stuff. And they just took a risk on him. They let him be terrible. And you see how good Josh Allen is now. And at the end of the day, all of these quarterbacks I've previously spoken about, including Peyton Manning, had better situations around them than Dwayne Haskins. None of them had 4 offensive coordinators in their first 10 games. I'm pretty sure none of them had an offensive line this bad. This receiving core is very young, has a lot of potential, a lot of talent, but they're very inexperienced. I mean, even little things like bad timing on routes. Like, sometimes it wasn't even Dwayne Haskins' fault. Sometimes the receiver would just run the wrong route, and that's just what you expect from inexperienced receivers. But, I mean, Terry McLaurin is heaven sent. Probably one of the best, if not arguably the best receiver that any of these guys I'm talking about have had in their rookie seasons. Between Peyton Manning, Kyler Murray, and all of these guys. If you want to argue Terry McLaurin is the best receiver that any of those guys have had, I'll kind of give you that. But at the end of the day, the overall receiving core, Dwayne Haskins has had the youngest, the least experienced, the worst, technically, by production, even though I believe in the talent, and I think by next year, our receiving core should be great, especially if we add somebody like a Jamar Chase and Antonio Gandy-Golden and Isaiah Wright, who finally got a chance today, gets a chance to show what he can do and develop and gets more starting reps and stuff like that. I think we can have a special wide receiving core, but today, they're not special. And then again, he doesn't have just this dominant run game to complement him. Daniel Jones has Saquon Barkley this whole time. Arguably the most talented running back in the league. I love Antonio Gibson. I really like J.D. McKissick, and Peyton Barber is pretty dependable, but none of them are Saquon Barkley yet. If ever. If they ever will be. Now, Saquon Barkley does have a slight injury problem, but when healthy, He's probably the scariest running back you go against in this league. Between him and Christian McCaffrey, easily, like, as a defense, it's just exhausting having somebody that freakishly athletic that can just make anything out of nothing, you know what I'm saying? And that's who Daniel Jones has had. Plus, he's had a great tight end to throw to in Evan Ingram. He's not one of the best, but it's way better than anything Dwayne Haskins has had. Dwayne Haskins hasn't had any real notable tight end. I mean, he had Jeremy Sprinkle. Y'all hate on Jeremy Sprinkle more than I do, so don't bring up Jeremy Sprinkle. Y'all hate Logan Thomas more than I do. But again, Logan Thomas is new to the position, so we can't be mad at him for being a sorry receiving tight end yet. He's slow. He drops occasional catches. He's not a great route runner, but he is a pretty good blocker, so I'm appreciative of that. But overall, as a receiving tight end, he's not good. Marcus Ball barely comes in the game. And we still have Jeremy Sprinkle back there, who y'all didn't even want on this team when it came to the 53-man roster. So Dwayne Haskins versus Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has the better offensive line, the better running back, the better receivers and tight end group, other than Terry McLaurin. But as a whole, their receiving group is way better. Kyler Murray has D-Hop, Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk when healthy, Andy Isabella, a better offensive line, and a nice 1-2 punch of Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds. And then also my final point is that Dwayne Haskins still has a lot of easily coachable things that he can fix. His accuracy issues, for the vast majority of it, stem from his lack of consistent footwork. His footwork is very inconsistent. He throws off his back foot. I mean, it's just random, but all of these are mechanical things that can easily be fixed. You cannot teach his arm strength. His pocket presence, his pocket awareness also needs to be improved. That comes with experience. There's really no level of coaching that can really help you with that without you going out there and experiencing that. And again, he has one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL blocking for him. So, of course, I mean, even though it's still his fault, I don't alleviate blame from this, but there's some plays where the offensive line actually does block well across the board, and he just has this natural clock in his head, like, I just got to get rid of it, and he ends up throwing an ill-advised throw, inaccurate interception or whatever it may be, because he's just so used to the offensive line letting him down. Now, again, I do not count that as an excuse. You need to stand in there, you're big, take those hits or whatever, and just deal with the fact that your offensive line is one of the worst in the league. It's whatever. When the offensive line finally blocks well, you need to be mentally ready to deliver the right ball. So I don't excuse him for that, but that is a thing. And also decision making, that improves with experience. Him sitting on the bench is pointless. Like, it's literally pointless. Which takes me to my for real last point is we have to ride this till the wheels fall off. There's no point in benching them and not knowing what we have, and then we go into the 2021 season wondering whether or not Dwayne Haskins is our quarterback and if we should go and get somebody else, where if he's great, we make the playoffs. If he's bad, we have a good enough pick to draft Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance. I mean, it's either one. We ride this Dwayne Haskins train till the wheels fall off, all the way to the final game of the season, see it all the way through, see it to the end, and then judge them after that. Don't go off of these first 3 games, or if you want to be petty again, first 10 games that he's played. Because the worst case scenario is throwing in somebody like a Kyle Allen, who not only is worse than Dwayne Haskins, but most importantly has a way lower ceiling. No arm strength, slightly faster, but not fast. Not fast enough to do what Baker Mayfield did to us today or Kyler Murray did to us last week. Nowhere near that fast. But pretty much anybody compared to Dwayne Haskins looks kind of fast, but still, Kyle Allen is not fast. He's a bad decision maker. He also throws a lot of interceptions. In the 12 games he started for the Panthers last year, he threw 17 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. And honestly, those first couple of games, defenses just didn't know his play style. They didn't know how to scheme for him. Once defenses knew exactly what his weaknesses and strengths were, that's when you saw him super decline towards the last few games of last season, and we even beat them last year because of it. And also, Kyle Allen is not like terrible, but he's also not great, so he's not good enough to take us to the playoffs, or let alone when we get to the playoffs we win a game, because this division is so bad. We might end up winning this division by default this year, honestly, especially if Dwayne Haskins improves. But he's not great enough to win you playoff games, take you to the Super Bowl. And he's also not bad enough for you to end up with the top 3, top 5 pick probably. Which means that we would just be stuck with Kyle Allen and Dwayne Haskins in 2021 and would have no chance of getting a Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance. So we might as well ride it out with Dwayne Haskins. I know losing sucks, but you might as well give him a fair shot the entire season, watch him develop, and In my opinion, I think he's the quarterback of our future. I think he's a franchise quarterback. I think he will be great eventually, but he needs time. He needs stuff around him to be better. He needs the offensive line, receivers, needs more consistent play calling, all of that type of stuff. He needs patience. He needs to work on his footwork, all of that type of stuff. He can easily improve. I think he will be, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But at the worst case scenario, with Dwayne Haskins as a starter, if he's as bad as a lot of y'all think he is, then we'll have Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance moving forward, and those guys are almost guaranteed to be franchise quarterbacks that we can expect them to just win us the game with their arms if we need to, or even their legs like they've shown. So best case scenario with Kyle Allen, we go 8-8 and lose the first game in the playoffs, wild card game. Worst case scenario with Dwayne Haskins, Trevor Lawrence is our quarterback 2021 and beyond, and we have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So benching Dwayne Haskins is literally pointless. In my opinion, again, I'm not tank for Trevor right now. I feel like Dwayne Haskins can definitely improve. I think he's going to get way better. But again, worst case scenario, Trevor Lawrence or Trey Lance is our quarterback 2021 and beyond. And again, Ron Rivera has already said that he's sticking with Dwayne Haskins. He'll let him make his mistakes. He's going to ride this till the wheels fall off, because there's no point in benching him. Then we won't have a fair assessment of him. We need to give him 16 games. No, it sucks to have 16 games of worrying about your quarterback being good or not. But if we give him 16 games and he's not good, we move on. But there's no point of having what ifs out there, especially when your backup is Kyle Allen. That's just disgusting. But yeah, man, I tried to bring up as many facts as I can, as many viewpoints on it. Please get in the comments and let me know how y'all feel about it. Again, as bad as y'all think Dwayne Haskins is, there's Hall of Fame quarterbacks that have looked way worse through their first 10 games than Dwayne Haskins has, and they had way better situations around them than Dwayne Haskins has had. Dwayne Haskins literally has had one of the worst quarterback situations I've ever seen a quarterback have, if not the worst. So y'all can get in the comments and debate. Y'all can agree, y'all can disagree. I'll be in there to fact check the people that disagree, and we can talk it over. And again, to repeat myself, I'm not giving Dwayne Haskins any excuses. Today was a terrible game. The first half of the previous two games were also bad. But today was the first day they finally took off the training wheels and let him just slang it. And if you pay attention to every other young quarterback's first game when they finally just took the training wheels off of them, they all failed. They all looked bad. So this was Dwayne, even though this is technically his 10th game, or in my opinion his third game, this was the first game they finally was like, win this game with your arm, make your mistakes, win the game, whatever you're going to do. But we're finally not going to baby you anymore. These other young quarterbacks that you see putting up great stats, Drew Lock, Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray, Gardner Minshew, Josh Allen, their offensive coordinators been stopped babying them. Dwayne Haskins finally took his first step in the real quarterback play today. And if I knew that walking into this game, I would have told y'all he was going to throw 2 or more interceptions, because technically this was his real NFL quarterback debut of being a real quarterback and not running a vanilla offense where they're just running the ball and dinking and dunking. This was his first time where they just let him sit in the pocket, look around, find an open receiver himself, not draw up a play for a receiver to be open, and Dwayne Haskins knows who's going to be open before the ball is even snapped. No, today they actually let him sit back in the pocket, scan the field, and make a throw and make a decision on his own. He has some great moments, and he has some terrible moments. The terrible moments were more often, and they definitely outshadowed the great moments, but he did have some great moments today. Like that Dontrell Inman's second touchdown where he actually read the field. He looked at his first option, his second option, then saw Dontrell Inman as his third option, and was very quick to get it out of there in between 2 DBs. Not a lot of guys can do that. That was a really good NFL play from a quarterback. But we'll see. Again, give him time. I'm not guaranteeing y'all that he's going to be something great, but I'm definitely on the side that thinks Dwayne Haskins, based off of his traits and his potential, and what I've seen other quarterbacks go through to have similar traits and potential, what they've turned out to be, I think Dwayne Haskins can be great. But again, worst case scenario, Trevor Lawrence 2021 and beyond. But man, that's the end of this video. Please like it. If you learned anything, if you liked it, please subscribe if you haven't. More content like this. I'm going to definitely be giving y'all more film sessions. If you haven't already, look at my Chase Young debut film session. Look at Antonio Gibson's film session from his first 2 games, the Eagles and the Cardinals. And I'm going to try to give y'all at least 1 film session, hopefully more than that each week, on just random players, or maybe it might be a Scott Turner film session where I break down his play calling and his scheme and things like that. So y'all just expect a film session every week about something or somebody. And of course, y'all already know the live streams that come out every week. The live streams during the game, y'all can watch it with me, or you can come to the post-game live stream. Pull up the both, you know what I'm saying? And the post-game live stream is where you can call in and you voice your opinions, let your voice be heard, and you can yell at Dwayne Haskins for looking bad. You can praise whoever you want, like the defensive line for looking great, whatever you want to do. That's what the post-game live stream is here for, and y'all can call in. During the live stream, you'll see the number that you can call in at. You have to do an access code, and I'll just bring y'all in one by one and talk whatever you got to talk about, man. But that's the end of this video, man. I really appreciate the support, man. Big shouts out to all of my supporters, especially the people that donate, especially all of the sponsors. And you see the Pro Bowl sponsors' names who are scrolling down the screen right now. I appreciate all of y'all. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.